And this is one of our first exhibits where we brought artists from outside of Southern Nevada or the desert Southwest region. So for us, it's a great opportunity to introduce the community to these very talented artists who have statements that fall right in line with what the Springs Preserve is all about.
After years in advertising, Don Simon returned to the art world with a passionate interest in the environment.
I wanted to talk about how we view nature, how we view the relationship with industry, and how it's normal to us at this point. You know, every human on Earth was born in the post-industrial age, so this is all normal to us. It doesn't seem that strange.
To create a series of unique and otherworldly images, he used all the familiar tools of an art director, along with a favorite but unforgiving medium.
The colored pencil is the rendering. It's a one-way road. You know, it's not very malleable once you start rendering. So I try to resolve as many issues as I can in that early comp process. And I can do that in Photoshop and play around with colors and compositions and have all those issues resolved before I actually start applying the pencil to paper.
Because once he begins drawing, it's an incredibly labor-intensive process.
I'm not mixing paints on a palette. I'm literally mixing colors on the paper with the pencils. So if you're seeing an area of orange on the parking lot Serengeti pieces, there's probably 4 or 5 colors mixed together in the wax in the pencils to achieve that color.
The work could take a month per picture, multiplied by 3 because he was seeing scenes in a triptych configuration.
So I can have this wide cinematic epic feeling to some of the pieces, but I can be right up close where you're looking a deer in the eye or you're looking a cow in the eye and you get that personal connection too.
As a photographer, Richard Barnes found he had an affinity for architecture and archaeology that took him into the tombs of ancient Egypt and beneath a California museum to record the discovery of a gold rush graveyard before he began his animalogic series that is redolent of death and what comes after.
There's a curator, a friend of mine, who's written on my work, and he talks about the idea that archaeology is both reverent of its subject and destructive at the same time. So it's akin to the autopsy in that it is destructive, but it's also it's knowledge base. So at the same time that you're understanding something, you're also destroying it. Archaeology has some of the same components, and that to me is a fascinating dilemma. And so that's where I became interested in archaeology, and that morphed into this interest in what we were collecting and where it was going.
And he has followed his fascination behind the scenes of natural history museums all over the world to document the implements and rituals used to put preserved animals on display or remove them from public view.
They were lifting the giraffe. I photographed it both with the construction crew in position, lifting the giraffe into the air, and then I asked my friend who was on the construction crew, I said, look, can you guys just take a coffee break and let me have a few moments with this alone? Well, that's the stronger image, finally, is the one that has nobody in it except the giraffe.
While his images may be far from lighthearted, they are always astonishing.
So much of my work deals with death. There's not a lot of humor in my work. So when I find it, I go for it. And the man with the buffalo is, it's not drop dead hilarious, but it does have an element of irony, for instance. So whenever I see that, I like to bring that in.
Despite their sophisticated and highly original visions of unnatural history, each artist has developed an appreciation for the other's works.
A month on one of those drawings is a very long time. At the most, I will spend a few hours. That's a different way of connecting. And I think that's what's important about the show, is kind of look at that and think about it. Even though there's a similarity to the work, its execution is extremely different.
I think his work is fantastic. And I think that they visually, aesthetically play off each other very well, just on that level. But thematically, I also see some of the same issues that he's addressing in his work that I do.
And both men found even more common ground in their mutual admiration for the mission of the Springs Preserve.
They realized very quickly, and especially because of these issues, that sharing similar concerns about the environment, similar concerns about you know, sustainability, as they come through our galleries and they see what we have to offer and what our messaging is, you know, there's this great look of awe and delight coming across their faces.
For me, the best thing about this is getting Springs Preserve on my radar and being able to come out here and see it in person, because what they've built here is stunning, frankly, and so necessary right now. And it's great to kind of be a part of their world for a weekend, and I'm really happy that the work is going to be shown here.